Hey guys, what's up? It's iFlynn here, and in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at two different vault builds that you can use to basically do every single thing in Warframe. Vault is the best frame in the game for getting things done. There's really no room for discussion here. He is just the best, and a lot of people, they kind of don't really know what to do when it comes to building him because they get a little bit confused when they look at his fourth ability. But I've got news for you guys. We don't use the fourth ability. We just go ahead and replace it for Rhino's Roar because the majority of Volt's kit is damage buffing in some way, shape, or form. So we can make Shock give us bonus electric damage by using the Shock Trooper Augment. We can make Speed give us more attack speed on our melee weapons because that's just something that it does. And Electric Shield gives us bonus electric damage and crit damage when we're shooting through the shield. Now, if you're wondering why we go ahead and we take off this charge, it's because it just takes too long to cast and the amount of damage that it deals just isn't enough. It doesn't kill quick enough to really be worth keeping on. And if you do want to make a build around it, you need to sacrifice one of Volt's three other abilities to throw on an armor strip ability because Electric doesn't really do that well whenever the enemies have a lot of armor. So for this first Volt build, this is something that you would use if you're just trying to speedrun a bounty exterminate mission, for example, like here in Helvania. So what I'm doing here is I'm just going ahead and throw on Blind Rage, and that's going to give us bonus ability strength to make all of our abilities more effective. I'm complementing that with Narrow Minded to make all of them last longer. Because Blind Rage gives you a negative to ability efficiency, I need some way to sustain my energy, so I'm running Prime Flow and Arcane Energize. Then what we need to focus on is staying alive. So I've got Fast Deflection, Vigilante Vigor, and Catalyzing Shields for some shield gating and shield tanking. Rolling Guard is on here, so then we can do a roll to strip away an annoying status effect such as Toxin, and Arcane Aegis is on here just for a little bit of insurance. Prime Sure-Footed, so then we don't get knocked down, and Corrosive Projection to make the enemies that we're fighting, especially the more tougher enemies in the game, just that little bit weaker, and then of course Shock Trooper as the mandatory augment mod. For my Archon shards, I've got 3 Crimson Talford shards on, all giving me more ability strength, so the damage buff of my abilities is a lot better. I've got 1 Parkour Velocity shard on from the Amber, and 1 Casting Speed, so I don't get caught in any animations. Then the weapons that I'm using, I would recommend using the Latron Prime Incarnate with the Flensing Spikes evolution in the last evolution there. Using a primer build that looks like this because we're mainly going to be using melee. The most important thing here is the primary dexterity arcane. Make sure that you've got that on. Then for the Epitaph Prime, I would go ahead and use a primer build that looks like this, using, again, secondary dexterity to extend the combo duration of our melee. And then I would recommend the Praetos for your melee, because this is going to give you even more parkour velocity for the Evolved Ascension perk. And I would recommend using a build that looks like this. Now, we're going to be fighting the Scaldra and the Tekrot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to swap this Bane mod for Galvanized Elementalist, and that's okay because Rhino's Roar ability basically does what these Prime Smite mods do anyway. You can see that there are Smite mods for every single faction in the game, bar the Skeldra and the Tekrot. So you have Corpus, you have Grenier, you have Infested, Orican, and the Murmur. They can be annoying to swap out, so if you just want a one-and-done build for your Praetos or any melee weapon in the game, really, this is your go-to build. So we're going to go ahead and run this level 215 to 220 Exterminate bounty here. That's going to give us 9,000 standing for the Hex, and we've got the possibility of getting 3,300 Endo or 4,200 Endo and much, much more. So let's just go ahead and pop the bounty. And we're looking to complete this in about 5 minutes. It really depends on the tile set. All of the builds that I showed you, you can go ahead and use them on, you know, the base versions of the weapons and also the frame, and you're gonna do just fine. So what I'd recommend doing once you spawn in, just go ahead, pop an energy pad, pop your shock, your shield, your speed, and your roar, whip out your epitaph, pay attention to the map, and just prime in the general direction. Whenever I say prime, I mean shoot the epitaph of the triangles on the map, but then just hold E. You can see that the attack speed is pretty insane. We're not going to go down. You're going to see that the amount of energy we get just sort of skyrockets whenever we get 1 energy orb because of Energize. Once you get enough combo, you can see in the bottom right there, whenever I bring out my Praetos, you'll be able to turn on the incarnate form of the Praetos with a Tennokai for free. So we went ahead and did that. The annoying thing about the build is recasting speed whenever it runs out, but if you're playing your cards right, you'll need to cast speed maybe maximum like 5 times. It just really depends. And this is the hardest enemy in the game to take down. This is a Dedicant. Dedicants have damage attenuation, and as you can see, we're making light work of this. I messed up with my combo there, but that's okay. He's going to be dead pretty much now. So that's the toughest enemy that you're going to come across, really, and we killed it in pretty much no time. The speed that you get through this with this exact setup is, like I said, going to depend on the tile set that you're on and the spawns of the enemies and all that stuff. So, you know, as long as you're paying attention and you're keeping your Kratos' combo high, you're priming the enemies, you're going to cut through all of the enemies like butter, and melee influence is going to taxi these electric procs from all of the enemies. Now just pay attention to the minimap. You'll see that the enemies, they just start to drop dead as we melee a few of them. So even melees that, or enemies that we haven't seen yet, they're going to die as well. Just try to pay attention to your damage buffs. The annoying thing with shock is that damage buff appears in the top right hand corner instead of down with your electric shield and your roar. So that can make it a little hard to stay on top of, but that's okay. It's no big deal. There we go. Big room of enemies dead. Another big room of enemies dying, basically. Turn on our Incarnate form with our free Tennokai heavy attack. That's the knife in the middle of the screen. And it's directing us up the way. Okay, big group of enemies. Prime them all. And they're all dead. Prime this guy. He's dead. Jump over to these guys. Hold E. They're all dead. Orange crits, yellow crits, red crits, all the different color crits. Just keep on paying attention to the minimap. If your electric shield drops, make sure to put that back on too. Prime, and hold E. That's 250,000 damage from the Kratos. Okay. The other thing you can do if you want to as well, if you've got it equipped, is you can summon in the Parallax to mark all of the little standing rewards that are around that you might need to rank up to. So that's just going to mark those, and I can run and pick those up if I want. I've got a big stockpile of them already because I just passively pick them up as I stream. Twitch.tv/iFlynn. But yeah, that's the mission done. 3 minutes 30 seconds. So that's pretty good. We got a pretty good tile set. And this is just a pretty bog standard vault build with a bog standard melee influence build, bog standard primer and the epitaph. And really all you need for the primary is the Dexterity Arcane. So now we're going to be taking a look at the Endurance build, or the build that I'd recommend that you guys use in level cap or something like that. So what we've done is we took off a lot of the shield mods because we're now running the pillage. So we're just able to instantly regen shields just by tapping 4. This is also going to strip away all the defenses off the enemies around you. So armor, shields, whatever, they're just going to be completely stripped, meaning they're going to be easier to kill. We've thrown on Narmind It, Umbral Intensify, and Prime Continuity in place of all the shield mods, and then the rest of the build is the exact same with the exception of the Arcane Aegis. We're instead running Molt Augmented. So with this build, you need to pay attention because your pillage is your only method of survivability, right? You have to be casting pillage quite often to keep yourself alive, and then of course using Rolling Guard whenever you get Toxin procced. Then for the weapons, it's basically the exact same. You can go ahead and use Dexterity, or you can use Primary Auxiliary on the exact same Latron build. The difference here is Primary Auxiliary is going to allow you to regen your energy whenever you deal an impact proc. So sometimes I like to use this if I feel like, you know, I can't be bothered with running out of energy basically. But for simplicity's sake, Dexterity is pretty good on the primary. Then what you can do on your secondary, exact same secondary build in the Epitaph, you can either run Dexterity or you can run Fortifier to help with taking off that overguard from the Frail enemies and the Exodus enemies. So there's that. It's also going to give you a little bit of overguard as well, and that's just going to help you stay alive. Now, the weapon I recommend bringing is the Nami Solo, because the Nami Solo is just a busted weapon. I've got a Riven on it here, but you can just go ahead and replace that for Prime Reach or regular Reach, and then I'll hover over the evolutions that I've got equipped on here as well, so you guys can just go ahead and copy. This thing shreds because it basically has like 100% punch through whenever you've got the Incarnate form turned on, so your melee strikes are going to be dealing 100% of their damage. based on, you know, the amount of enemies that they hit, and it's never going to fall off because melees actually have like range fall off kind of in this game. I'm not going to explain that. We're just going to jump into a void cascade and I'll show you guys how this build works. So here I am at the start of a void cascade. You guys may or may not know how to play this game mode, but basically you gotta go into your operator sometimes. We can strip away the armor of the Frax enemy there. He's done. Now we go into our operator and we headshot him and he's gone. Turn on all your buffing abilities. I need to get myself an electric shield, so I need to get some energy. There we go, electric shield. It's on the front, very nice. And now we just hold E with the Nami Solo. Now, if you want to get a little bit more damage out of the Nami Solo, you can just go ahead and fully equip it. You've seen how my crosshair kind of changed there, so it goes from, you know, being normal like that, and then if I hold down the F button, you have that little inside bit of the crosshair, you know what I mean? But that's how you get the full effectiveness of all the incarnate buffs and stuff like that by fully equipping it. Let's just go ahead. Can't strip away his armor yet, but because we have such a high combo on the Nami Solo, doesn't matter. So if I ever get hit, just pop the pillage, and then you can press the button again to end the ability early. And you can see I've got 1,500 shields. Pop it, end it, all the shields are back. Pop it, end it, all the shields come back, implying there's enemies within range that have defenses, of course. But yeah, as long as you're holding E, as long as you're actually killing enemies, which you will basically always one-shot with this build, you're not going to go down. And if you do go down, it's probably because you got like some form of damage over time effect that you didn't roll to proc your rolling there. You can see that my health bar went gray there. That means I was totally invulnerable. So yeah, that's basically it. But you can see that we're just shredding through all of the Grineer here, strip away their armor, get our shields back, you know, use your heavy attack on the Nami Solo whenever the, what's it called, the Tennokai procs up, and that was 750k damage there, quite insane. Let's strip away the armor of the enemies, make sure that my shock is up, put down my shield, boom, enemy dead. Take away his armor. Once you get 250, that's a million damage, that's 13 million damage. Once you get 250 molt augmented stacks, you will always fully strip away the armor of all of the enemies around you. So yeah, Void Cascade made easy should be what this build is called, really. So anyway, guys, that is basically everything that you need to know about throwing together like really powerful Vault builds. If this video helped you out, make sure to leave a like, and if you want to see more Warframe content from me, hit subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one.